the Cosmos Hub pursued this idea to merge and acquire other protocols and successful applications in Cosmos. Well, one of the biggest criticisms against Atom so far has been that the rise of Cosmos technology and the adoption of IBC does not accrue any value for Atom. So you have a lot of people that are pro-Cosmos and very bullish on Cosmos as an ecosystem, but not necessarily as bullish on Atom. But with the creation of the Atom Economic Zone and the launch of shared security earlier this year, this might actually not be the case anymore. And we're actually seeing more alignment, more applications, TVL, actual users, on-chain protocol revenue, and these kind of things coming all together. Now keep in mind that all that happened so far was in the absolute driest phase of the bear market. So the results so far are absolutely underwhelming. There is no doubt about that. But moving forward, I do see a pathway how the Cosmos Hub could be positioned in a very unique way, especially when it's around liquid staking. During the last day of Cosmoverse, which took place earlier this month in Istanbul, Turkey, Vishal, who is one of the founders at Stride, actually proposed this idea to the community that Stride could fully merge with the Cosmos Hub and get rid of its STRD token entirely. But first, I want to provide you more context around this crazy idea, the history of Stride, so that you can fully understand how this would actually also look like and what it would mean for the Cosmos Hub. So if we talk about Stride's achievements and milestones so far, we can tell that Stride currently is the market leader for liquid staking in Cosmos with over $35 million of total value unlocked, because Stride as a liquid staking provider liquefies staked Atom that you can then use in Cosmos DeFi. Note that a lot of the applications in Cosmos DeFi have also been suffering from the bear market, so the adoption rate for liquid staked Atoms and how you can actually use it in DeFi and lending protocols such as UMI and Mars has been super slow. But in my view, that's just part of the bear market. Stride actually launched 10 ST tokens, which means they are providing this service for 10 chains, including Injective, Osmosis, UMI, evmos, and many more. In June of this year, Stride also became the very first app chain that would fully migrate from its own standalone chain into an Atom-secured consumer chain. And this is as if you would change the engine of a plane mid-flight. This was a huge effort that was achieved by the Stride team in collaboration mainly with the team at Informal, which is the core contributors and builders of shared security on the Cosmos Hub. The migration allowed Stride to focus more on the product and to have a much higher standard of security and decentralization by transitioning to become an Atom-secured chain. This also meant more alignment between Stride and the Cosmos Hub in terms of their communities and their core teams. As Stride also shares 50% of the revenue with the Cosmos Hub, there's also now direct value accrual for the Cosmos Hub. And as of right now, Stride is generating around $700,000 in fees per year. Stride also integrated the liquid staking module, which basically allows users to liquefy their already staked Atom. So if you have your Atom staked right now to Cryptocito, for example, you can with one click liquefy your staked Atom, and you don't have to unbond it, or you don't have to buy a new Atom and liquefy in that way. You can do that with one click thanks to the liquid staking module, which Stride immediately integrated at launch. Now let's talk about the whole idea for acquiring Stride. There are a couple of points and a couple of basic fundamental thoughts why this would make sense on paper. One of them, for example, is to further strengthen the alignment and efforts and synergies between Stride and the Cosmos Hub. Atom, as of right now, is the most decentralized governance token, especially in the Cosmos ecosystem, but even outside of Cosmos, it has one of the core functionalities of being a governance token that pretty much no other chain in crypto has, but it still lacks a compelling narrative. In addition, it would also concentrate and accrue all the value and coordination to only one network. Instead, right now, the Stride community still has to maintain their network of governors, and they still have the Stride token, which obviously the Stride token itself needs to have liquidity, needs to have integrations and demand in order to be valuable, which especially for a liquid staking protocol is quite challenging. And be reminded at this point also that liquid staking is currently the largest category within crypto DeFi. That means that it is actually the largest pie of value and market cap. And just imagine if not only Stride, but also Osmosis or even Stargaze and Umi, if they would all convert their native coins into Atom and become part also of the Cosmos Hub and fully merge, this would actually also be extremely bullish for Atom and for the Cosmos Hub's positioning, strengthen its role as the mother chain in Cosmos, which then would also drag a lot more eyeballs into Cosmos and fix that problem, what I originally said, of Atom being a less interesting asset in the crypto space. The solution for that would in fact be that the Cosmos Hub would fully merge with Stride and fully decentralized. The team also posted a proposal on the Cosmos Hub forum about converting the entire STRD supply to Atom. This proposal will only happen if both the Cosmos Hub and Stride governance would agree on this. So what actually happened at Cosmoverse was that Visual presented this idea that came up during the conference and wanted to do this on stage publicly to gather as much community feedback as possible. Now, why does a merger make sense from the Stride perspective? It makes sense from a Stride perspective because you can just look at Ethereum's Lido. Ethereum's Lido currently controls 32% of the total staked ETH, which could harm the network and poses significant risk to Ethereum itself. Liquid staking should be decentralized to scale safely in order to avoid one liquid staking provider to become too big and take over the hub. This acquisition would increase the decentralization and security of the Stride protocol. Stride would also become the most decentralized liquid staking provider in all crypto. There will be more trust by users and other chains like DYDX, Kronos, or Celestia to adopt Stride and improve the penetration and adoption of liquid staking in Cosmos. What would the Cosmos Hub get in return for this? Well, first of all, the Cosmos Hub would gain full control over the Stride protocol, which also includes governance, all liquid staking parameters, and how liquid staking will evolve in the future. Stride would then be fully aligned with the hub, and there would actually be zero chances or doubts for Stride at one point eventually exiting the Atom Economic Zone, aka being an Atom secure chain. Secondly, the Cosmos Hub would accrue 100% instead of 15% of all the revenues and fees generated through Stride, which are currently $700,000 per year. So by merging, the Cosmos Hub would immediately almost 8x their revenue through Stride. And the further the adoption goes, the more this revenue will grow. Also note that as of right now, liquid staking in Cosmos still only has less than a 2% market penetration. And if you compare this number with Ethereum, on Ethereum we are at 23%. This means huge upside for liquid staking through Stride in Cosmos. And with that upside and more adoption, revenue will also exponentially increase as liquid staking adoption in Cosmos grows. Finally, and maybe even most importantly, to be honest, Stride Labs would become a core Cosmos Hub contributor, focusing mainly on the Stride satellite chain. This would unlock more and more liquidity for Cosmos DeFi and also realign and merge some of the strongest teams to work exclusively on the Cosmos Hub, align interests, and align also their technical expertise. So the big question right now, and that's also where the concerns come in, is how would that actually look like in practice? Well, currently, the Stride team proposes a 30% premium for the conversion. This would mean that $1 worth of Stride would be converted into $1.30 worth of Atom. Currently, only around 75% of the Stride supply will be converted. The remaining 25% consist of the community pool and incentives, and they would be burned. will there be a big mint of Atom? That's also a question a lot of people have asked. And yes, there could be a big mint of Atom, because right now the community pool of the Cosmos Hub is not enough to cover for the acquisition. So Atom could be minted or taken from the community pool over time through taxes or future inflation to pay for the acquisition. This is also where the concerns come in. Of course, in a bear market, people are also a bit more emotional and come up with theories. For example, some people have said that the Stride team only proposed that them and their investors could exit and could actually have a very good deal on their project. Given that the Cosmos Hub and Atom have a much higher liquidity, this would be the case. However, this can't be the case because the Stride team actually also proposed to lock their team and investors' allocations and vest over a long period of time. Stride Labs needs to keep contributing to the Cosmos Hub and the Stride chain and achieve the KPIs to then unlock their allocation, or else their Atom would be slashed. So the team is actually very serious and has thought about this to also make sure that they show the community that they're really serious about this and that this is not just a fluff proposal. And I personally believe that over the past year and a half, 2 years almost, the Stride team has actually proven to be a high integrity team, incredible builders and shippers, which is something that you barely see in crypto. Others have also asked, why don't just fork Stride on the Cosmos Hub without paying anything? Because the code base can be forked, it's all open source. What you don't have then is the teams contributing to the Cosmos Hub. You can't fork the team, you can't fork the community, you can't fork the branding and the adoption and the recognition, right? So sure, you could fork the code base, but then the question is, how do you gain adoption? Now, this brings me to my final point, which is the outlook. What is next? Well, the outcome of these discussions ever since Cosmoverse has been quite mixed, to be honest. Also, of course, given the market that we're in, people are a bit more cautious and a bit more skeptic, which is why the conversations around that, at least from the Stride core team, have been paused. And right now we're in a phase where we need to refine a lot more about these thoughts and ideas. And if either of the Cosmos Hub or Stride community actually wants to pull this through and wants to have a clear plan, then we might see a revival of this idea. However, what happened as a result of that was this general idea of whether the Cosmos Hub should pursue this idea to acquire and merge with other protocols. And if you've been around for a little bit in Cosmos, this might actually not sound that unfamiliar to you. Last year at Cosmoverse in Medellin, some of the core contributors in Cosmos actually proposed Atom 2.0. And part of Atom 2.0 was the idea to build an interchain allocator. And the interchain allocator is pretty much very similar to what we are seeing right now. All these discussions and all these debates, which basically shows that the Atom 2.0 team was just ahead of its time. Now, even Tendermint inventor and Cosmos founder Jiquan came out and said that he would generally agree to bringing select core utilities to the hub, which could be a good idea. Liquid staking with limitations should be on interchain security and controlled by the hub for security. The hub should also have an DEX AMM, like all hubs should, and Osmosis is a good candidate partner. Now I'm going to ask you, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think? Should the Cosmos Hub pursue this idea? Should Stride and Atom merge? Should the Stride token entirely vanish and be bought up by Atom? Or do you think it's a bad idea and counterproductive? Let me know your pros and cons under this video, and also I'll share a link to the forum post so you can share a more in-depth, detailed review there. I'll let you with this. Stay safe, guys. Be good, and I'll see you soon.